legend, the greatest of all time by some assertions, John Cena, who just had his retirement match, retired from WWE. This is also Denny Obvious' favorite, right? You can't see me every time he gets an AN1. The cross-section between wrestling fan and Blazer fan. Big moment for all you wrestling fans out there last night. You got to see the send-off of the man, the myth, the legend, John Cena, the greatest of all time. And I'm playing the song because hopefully we hear this a few times in Moda Center tonight, right? We hear this theme song every single time our man, Denny Omdia, gets that AN1. Bum, 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 bum. That's right, you can't see me. And the Blazers are going to need a big performance from that guy, Denny Avdia, tonight as they hope to end their 3-game losing streak and get back on the right side of things with a W as they play host to the Golden State Warriors tonight inside Moda Center. Welcome into Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you'd like to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And, of course, you can go over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the comments. And last but not least, text 88528, our brand new Rip City Radio text line, standard text messaging rates apply, and you can join the conversation there as well. So the Blazers, like I mentioned, looking to get back in the win column today, and that would be very, very nice to say the least because it's been a struggle as of late. They just ended their 5-game road trip that was really a 4-game road trip with a quick trip home to relax, if you can say that, to go back on the road to finish the 5-game road trip. That does not happen very often at all. They went for the first 4 of that road trip. Then they had a 3-day break before having to play New Orleans, which was the final game of that road trip. So they came home. They got to practice at the facility out in Tualatin, and then had to get back on the plane to go to New Orleans to play that final game of the road trip. So you knew they were tired. They were absolutely tired, and you look through the entire part of this early schedule, a lot of games on the road for your Portland Trail Blazers. And so you know what? Getting back tonight, getting a little home cooking is absolutely something that they need. You look all the way back at November 5th when they got that win over Oklahoma City in Portland. Since then, at Miami, at Orlando, at New Orleans, at Houston, at Dallas, a couple games back, and then at Golden State, at Oklahoma, at Milwaukee, then 2 quick games back, and then at Toronto, at Cleveland, at Detroit, at Memphis, at New Orleans. Point is, between November 5th and now December 13th, 14th, it has been nothing but road games for this Trailblazers team. So getting back tonight to the friendly confines against a team they have 2 wins over, hopefully gets you back in the right direction, because it's been some tough going for your Trailblazers team thus far. Also, shout out to the chat. If you want to jump in there, just head over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio. Patrick, I miss you too. I miss you too. All right, let's talk about this Blazer team, though, about what happened in their previous game. What got them here? A game where they went in to New Orleans to take on a team that is sitting in the bottom of the standings. They are a 4-win team. They were just a 3-win team going into that game, and you would hope that Portland could figure it out, put the pieces together, and get a big victory. And I know it sounds weird to call it a big victory when we're talking about the team that is in the bottom of the standings in the Western Conference, but it would be big for the Blazers because wins have been hard to come by. And even though the Blazers went in extremely injury depleted, no Donovan Clingan, no Young Hansen, no Robert Williams, we know all the other injuries. That's no Drew Holiday, no Damian Lillard, no Matisse Thybulle, no Blake Wesley, etc. You knew it was going to be hard, but you still looked at that game and went, you know what? This is a Pelicans team that has struggled all year long, a Pelicans team that came in bottom 5 in the league in offense and bottom 5 in points per game, and they're just not very efficient. Well, they just didn't look like themselves in this game, and it was to their benefit. A team that came into the game averaging 113 points, dropped 143 on top of the Trailblazers' heads, and they won 143-120. On the Pelicans side of things, Trey Murphy had 24 points, Sadiq Bey had 15, Derek Queen had 17 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 19 points from Jeremiah Fears. Herb Jones chipped in 4. 23 points for Trailblazers legend Bryce McGowan off the bench, and 22 points for Jordan Poole as well. That's 3 players up over 20, 5 players with 15 or more. Just an efficient game for a team that is usually fairly inefficient. On the Trailblazers side of things, Jeremy Grant had 16 points. Tumani Kamara had 15 points. 7 points from Chris Murray, who was starting at center in this one. Let me say that again. 7 points from Chris Murray, who was starting at center in this one. Oh, that sounds exactly like what I said before. Yeah, that's right, because I did not misenunciate or mispronounce or misread the script. Chris Murray at center is what you heard. That is how depleted and in need of bodies this team was in that game. So no protection in the paint, and that is why the Pelicans, quite frankly, were able to dominate in there. They beat the Blazers 88-62 in the paint alone. That's what happens when you don't have any rim protectors down there. Denny Avdia, he had 16 points along with 6 rebounds and 6 assists. 21 points from Shaedon Sharpe to lead all Trailblazers scorers. And Sidy Cissoko had 20 points as well. Rayan Rupert ended up getting our game ball in the 5th quarter, probably one of the better games of his career. And also really nice to see, considering I think he's been on the back end where people talk about him as like, okay, he hasn't shown that progression we want him to show. He doesn't look like he's going to be a guy who can crack the rotation. And this is just one game, so maybe it doesn't change that entire conversation. But it's absolutely nice to see him get out there and have himself a good game. 14 points, 6 of 11 shooting, 2 of 4 from deep. He also had 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. So good game there. Dwap Reith had 2 points. Javonte Cook did not score. And again, when we look at the game and try to wonder and pick apart how things happen, why they happen, how could it be? Yes, you can talk about the injuries and we can talk about the roster. I also wish the team would just play just a little bit more ferocious and with purpose. Get out there and understand that you can still win these games even though you're injury depleted, because I have faith in guys like Denny and Jeremy and Shea to go get it done. But at the same time, respectfully, of course, we're talking about a team that went out there. They had 10 guys to play, 3 of whom were two-way players, and then other guys who are the fringe rotation guys on your team getting 28 minutes like Chris Murray. Dwap Reith getting it at 12. Javonte Cook only played 3. So you basically played 8 guys if you take away those 2. And of those, again, Caleb Love, two-way guy. Sidy Cissoko, two-way guy. Rayan Rupert, a guy who prior to getting in this game the other day was down with the Rip City Remix playing in the G League. That's absolutely rough. Chris Murray, a guy who come into this season as, if you have you have 12 guys active on the roster, then he's your 11th or 12th guy. And he got the start in this one at center, fairly out of position. So those factor into this, but you would still hope that the team could put it together in such a way that they could go out there and you could trust them to win a game. That's hard to do sometimes when you're just beat up. And again, the other team just goes out there and says, you know what, we're just going to completely throw everything at you opposite of what the scouting report says. You're not going to be ready for it, and we're going to drop 143 on your head. Now, tonight against the Golden State Warriors, a team this team has beaten twice. Still going to be hard. Scoot Henderson, Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard, Matisse Thybulle, Blake Wesley, all listed as out. And as of yesterday, Donovan Clingan, Robert Williams, and Young Hansen listed as questionable. We will hopefully get an update here from head coach, because he's going to talk to the media in about 5 minutes. So we're going to take a quick little break here. When we come back, we're going to head to the coach's corner here, what head coach Tiago Splitter has to say ahead of this game, get you some updates on the injuries, the starting lineups, and continue to get you ready for Blazers Warriors, all here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. get a update on what the starting lineups would be and who is available. Remember, Donovan Clingan, Robert Williams, and Young Hansen all listed as questionable. They missed that game in New Orleans. It's obviously a big reason you lose that game. Give up 88 points in the paint is hard to overcome. That does not happen on any night, really, especially when you don't have no one who's going to go score in the paint, too. So, yeah, rough night there for the Blazers. Hopefully they can get back on track tonight against the Golden State Warriors, a team that they absolutely have their number so far with 2 dubs over the Dubs. Now, update for all you football fans, Phillip Rivers just led what could be the game-winning drive as the Colts hit a big field goal, and they take the 16-15 lead over the Seahawks with 47 seconds left in the game. That's pretty impressive. Phillip Rivers out here doing some incredible work at 106 years old, oldest player to ever come in and play. Okay, he's not really 106, but to have not played for almost, 5 years, over 1,000 days, I guess it was, so 3 years or so. And here he is on a short week of practice trying to learn what's going on because the team is so injury-riddled, and he gets a start. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. So shout out to Phillip Rivers getting the job done. 42 seconds. Can Sam Darnold get the Seahawks into field goal range? We shall see. All right, audio is up. That means Coach Splitter is at the podium. Let's take a listen.
And on kind of what you believe are your core tenets.
Well, I think it depends the day, to be honest. I think the first thing you do is go back to basics. Offensively, defensively, when we want to work and get better as a team. Now, when you have a scout, you still have little specifics, right? Like, for example, tonight we play Golden State. Their game off the ball, it's our defense playing off the ball extremely important. But that doesn't mean that we got to get better at playing one-on-one situations. So those are, which is the basic, one-on-one, right? So you still got to approach both things, the basics and the details that you're going to get in front of you that night.
With, however many days, 3 days off and then a couple games against the Kings, is that a more of like a dial-in, it's not like a playoff, but like matchup-specific type of thing where you can really make those tweaks about what they want to do?
Yeah, you have more time to that, definitely. But honestly, I don't think that was the time these days. I think more about us getting, a good rest, work on our basics, and then today, focus more on Golden State.
You guys have had some pretty good success against Golden State. What have you liked most about how you played against them?
Well, I think we did a good job rebounding the ball those games. I think we did an okay job with the guys that are not Curry. I wish we could do a better job on Curry and still, guard them better. But we'll see tonight what's the energy, how focused we are, and if we are ready.
Coach has been saying that for over 10 years. Curry.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest ever to play this game, right? And it's just amazing to see what he does at his age now, and not just what he does, but at his age, which is impressive. The way he moves around and the miles that he does every night is impressive with intensity. So it's always great to face that team. One of the greatest teams that ever played basketball.
Is there a memory you have of playing against him when you were with the Spurs, like when they were kind of first coming?
Yeah. So when we faced them back then, they were kind of like starting, right? Their dynasty. They were not there yet, but you could see already flashes of what they become now, or a couple years ago.
Do you see on any kind of minutes restriction any of those centers, or a little bit?
Yeah. He's probably going to be, not his regular minutes. So I got to be careful there coming, back from, a week off or whatever he was off. So got to be careful there.
Coach, when you were in San Antonio, you guys had your big three. there, Parker, Ginobili, Duncan. The Warriors have that now with their guys. What benefits do you see for younger players to have that kind of a structure? Those guys look at.
That's a good question. How to be a pro, how those elite players approach every practice, how they approach every game, how they approach their, rehab. It's not, lucky. Those guys usually are the guys that put a lot of time in their craft, in their bodies. And young guys that come to the league and they see what they do and they have a role model to follow, it's awesome.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiago.
And there you hear from head coach Tiago Splitter, and it does sound like the Blazers will have some healthy bodies at center tonight. Donovan Clingan, Robert Williams, Young Hansen, all good to go. So that is a good thing to hear. If you're a Trailblazers fan, you got a little bit of protection in the paint. You absolutely needed some protection down there, and you need someone who can also score, do whatever you need them to do. So a good thing to hear. Obviously, you also heard the idea that there'll be likely minutes restriction on some of those guys. Donovan Clingan been out for a few games now, so you don't want him to get hurt. You want him to ease into it, make sure everything's good to go. Maybe the type of game where you play all three of them because you absolutely can and you need them. You need those bodies to stay fresh and do everything. So we'll see what happens there, but that's going to be hopefully a way to not get beat in the paint like they did against New Orleans. That game was absolutely brutal. When you give up, 80-plus points in the paint, and you are obviously not defending it. I mean, 88 of their 143 points were in the paint. If you can't defend that, they're going to put up buckets, and they're going to shoot a high percentage, and then they're going to hurt you. And that's how a team that has one of the worst offenses in the league and a team that struggles constantly to get it going finds a way to beat you. And hopefully you learn from that. You had some time off to practice, and you come into this one ready to go. And as you heard Coach Tiago Splitter say, he thinks the team's done a pretty good job defending everybody not named Steph Curry. That's been the hard part, and that's also completely understandable because Steph's pretty darn hard to guard. All right, this is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Of course, you go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the chat there, or hit us up on the brand new Rip City Radio text line. Just text 88528. We're going to take a quick break here on Game Day. When we come back, we're going to hear from Denny Avdia. He talked to the media at yesterday's practice and had some good things to say about getting back on track, so we're going to let you hear that. And we're going to continue to get you ready for Blazers versus Warriors here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. media, but we already heard from Thiago Splitter. Let's take the chance to hear from one of the players because Denny Avdia talked to the media, and let's take a listen.
Team's at right now, just in terms of kind of some of the games you guys have played, having players out, some of the losses you've endured. Where are you guys at right now?
Yeah, I'm going to say we had better moments, but, it's nothing to be frustrated about. It's part of the long season. We do have a lot of injuries right now, and there is a lot of kind of like over-maintenance of some guys, but I feel like we're trying to make the most out of it. We've been competitive in most games. And I think those 2 games that we played versus Memphis and New Orleans, we would want to forget as much as possible because I don't think it's our character. That's about it. We're moving forward. It's a long season ahead.
Is it good to maybe start getting some guys back soon?
For sure. Oh, my God. Yeah. It's good. They're all very missed. And, we need them. I can't address it enough.
How do you feel like maybe kind of the strides that you've made with your skills, filling in for some guys, might help this team when those guys come back?
I feel like me being able to be in a different role and help, be some sort of, ball handler, create offense for my teammates, it's great. I think I'm versatile. I love to do it. And I'm going to do everything I can to win. And, where most guys are going to come back, I feel like it's going to change again, and I'm glad I had the chance to kind of touch it and see how it is so I can have it in the future or in moments that I would need to have it again.
In what ways will this month-long stretch change how you play down the road?
I'm sorry, again?
In what ways will this stretch where you have been the primary point guard, how will that change how you play down the road when everybody comes back?
I think just being able to make better decisions and being able to kind of, create offense if kind of nobody's or people are, or we're going to get stagnant or stuck. So I feel like that will be great. And that's about it. I feel like mostly just reps and experience, and it's always great.
You kind of played that role internationally, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, with the national team.
How does it change your preparation now? Is your film study different? Is your scouting
For sure.
different? In what ways?
I'm still perfect, so I do still do some mistakes. I got a great coach with me that shows me film and helps me improve my game and see things that I sometimes can't see in the game. And it helps me.
Open teammates or
some passes that I miss, or some passes I shouldn't throw because it's like a turnover prone kind of pass. And in general, the coach is doing a great job of really helping me figure this stuff out. But I think I've got a lot better, so that's good.
Is there an aspect of your playmaking that you've seen improve the most, or is it just kind of all around stuff?
Just find the open guy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm making a lot of, I'm breaking the paint a lot, so it collapses the defense, and a lot of teams help defenses really focusing on me. So I feel like just making the right play and making sure my, get my teammates involved.
Almost like a mindset thing. You can't think like a point guard instead of.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix because you still want to be aggressive and be a threat on the rim, but you still want to be the guy that initiates and throw those extra passes, throw those kick-out passes. So I feel like I'm kind of getting better in those for sure.
Has that been the hardest thing, balancing that?
For sure. I think sometimes I tend to be less aggressive, and I need to be better in continuing attacking the rim and continuing putting pressure. So.
It's still pretty early, but you're already being considered as one of the best or one of the most improved players in the league this season. How much do you feel like you improved from last season to this season, or do you think maybe people are just noticing it more?
I don't know. I feel like I did have a great start of the season. It's still a long season to go, so I hope to continue that. But I think I kind of broke through my game last year, the end of last year. I felt like I was in a good rhythm. I understood my assignments. I did what I needed to do. And then I continued it to this year. And this year, my team has been great. The team's been great. So I'm able to kind of play my game and be aggressive.
You had a nice little connection with Rob there for a few games on the lobs.
Yes.
Is that a budding chemistry there? Or?
Me and Rob talk a lot on the court. He's definitely great in finding the spots, and he's so athletic and he's so so good in catching the lobs, and you know, I'm just gonna throw it up there for him. So yeah, he's big for us.
For a team that kind of struggles in half court, that's an easy bucket if you do it right.
It is. It definitely is. I feel like if I go downhill and Rob's there on the lob, it's very hard to stop.
How's your body? You were like hobbling on both legs at one point there on that.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to get into that too much. You know, I've been dealing with some stuff here and there. You know, I'm trying to play through it because I want to be there for the team, and that's about it. Yeah, you know, I limped a little bit. You know, I'm still dealing with some stuff, but it's getting better. I have a great medical staff that takes care of me, but like, I'm not gonna quit that easy.
And there you hear from Denny Avdia, and yeah, he's not going to quit that easy, and that's just not his nature. That's for sure. He's always ready to go, and you know, they call him Turbo for a reason. It's just kind of all gas all the time. And I mean, it's also funny to listen to him talk about, you know, getting better at attacking the rim and doing certain things, because he does a pretty good job of that. And if you get better, that's a scary thing to think about if you're an opposing team having to stop that, because it's been incredible to watch this year as he gets downhill and gets to the free throw line and has been one of the best in the league at getting to the free throw line. And you would hope that he can continue that tonight, because the Blazers will absolutely need that type of game from him. You also heard there about the connection he has with Robert Williams, which is very true, because Robert Williams loves to play above the rim, and getting those lobs to him and getting that going, it energizes everybody when they see that. So it's nice to see. Maybe you'll get a little bit of that tonight, since Robert Williams is a go and will play tonight. That's big, because in that game against New Orleans that they lost just a few nights ago, they didn't have any of their true centers. I mean, yes, they had Dwap Reith, but we all know Dwap he's not a true center. He's undersized, and he's going to go space the floor, but he's not the close down the paint, make it hard to score, back to the basket type of center that you think about. As where, again, Robert does a great job defensively, plays above the rim, makes people work. Donovan Clingan, obviously, we know how good he is defensively. Those things are going to hopefully be a little bit better with your main guys back in the lineup tonight. Now, the Blazers, we know, have kind of had the Warriors number this year. They have 2 wins over them already, one in the second game of the season, which was the debut getting there. We got to see Thiago Splitter, and oh gosh, head coach, things are going crazy. Here he is. They go get the win. That's a big one. That was one where Steve Kerr said, you know, this isn't about the players or us. It's about Thiago and you know, that team, and he got a good victory there. And then on November 21st at Golden State, and they got to win again. That one, 127 to 123. And I want to take a look back at that game for a second, because you know, I talked to you guys earlier about like what version of everybody are you gonna get. Well, in that game, they had different complement of players, because everybody's dealing with injuries. But Brandon Pajemski had 20 points. Steph Curry had 38 points. Jimmy Butler had 20, and the Blazers were able to combat that, because they got 20 points from Toumani Camara, which is an absolute big game from him. And that was also the game that Donovan Clingan went absolutely ham. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 26 points, 13 assists from Denny Avdia, and 26 points, as we all remember, Caleb Love going crazy on that one, tying for the team lead in points and going 6 of 14 from the field. So you would hope that maybe you can get a little bit of that same production from this Trailblazers team. One thing to note in that game is the Blazers were 16 of 45 from beyond the arc, which is 35%, which doesn't scream like that's crazy good, especially when the Warriors shot 39% on the night. But it is, you know, a little better than those nights where we've seen where they're shooting in the 20s sometimes. So you're going to have that type of night against the Warriors. And as you saw in that game, and you know, you saw in the season opener, it's Steph Curry still knows how to ball. He scored 35 in the first game of the season against the Blazers. I don't know why I said season opener. I meant the first game that they played there. But that's 35 points in that one, 38 points in the last one. He's a walking bucket, and the Blazers can't stop him. So you got to find a way to get everybody else to, you know, share some of the burden, and maybe since they aren't Steph Curry, they make a few mistakes, and those mistakes lead to opportunities for you to capitalize on again. Also, it would be great to have Donovan Clingan be able to have a big game again. We also know that he's going to be, as Coach Splitter said, likely on a minutes restriction. You want to ease him back into it. You also want to ease Robert back into it, who was, at least he wasn't hurt. He was just sick. So you want to make sure that he's ready to go, though. I think you might even see some young Hansen in this one. How you combat the Warriors. It's what's crazy is when you think about how are you going to beat the Warriors? And we'll talk about that more in our next segment when we get to our keys to the game. But you got to remember that this Warriors team they still got Steph. They still got Draymond when he's healthy. But outside of that, there's been so much change on this team that they're not the same Warrior team that you think of in your head. If you're an old head like me and you're sitting there and you close your eyes and you still see Andrew Bogut and Andre Iguodala and Harrison Barnes for a minute, right? And obviously Draymond and Clay and Steph and all the other pieces that we've seen forever. Kevin Durant, we know there for the short time, like the team that was going out there winning 70 games. Now they still have Steph, who even though he's getting older is still number one in my book, best guard in the league. Dude's phenomenal. But the pieces around him, vastly different than what we're used to. Like, you look at that game against Minnesota that they lost 127-120. That starting lineup for the Warriors, Jimmy Butler, we all know him, but Quentin Post, Pat Spencer in that lineup. Pat Spencer of lacrosse fame. Trace Jackson Davis, Gary Payton II, we all know that. DeAnthony Melton, Moses Moody, Brandon Pajemski on the did not play list. Jonathan Kuminga, Seth Curry, Will Richard. It's a much different team than the team that we're used to when it's the Golden State Warriors. So it's not as easy as, defend those three guys, watch the three-point arc. Like, Steph's still going to get his, but you got to find ways to attack this team, and they're absolutely gettable, especially when you use your skill sets. Get them in the paint. They don't have that Andrew Bogut, or they don't have the guys like Kevin Durant who are wonderful defensively. And Draymond is still good, but he's not the Draymond of his prime where he was probably the best defender in the league. Remember Klay Thompson, arguably one of the best two-way guards at that time. But they've still found a way, and that's what makes this team dangerous. Because even though they aren't what they were when they were winning the championship or playing it every single year against the Cavs, they are still a dangerous ball club. Can the Blazers make it 3 wins against them this season? We'll find out in little over an hour when that ball tips off. We're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we come back, I'm going to tell you, can they get win number 3? Well, I'm going to tell you what my keys to the game are. What do they need to do to make sure it happens? We'll let you know when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. here with you. Time now for our keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do to get a victory over the Golden State Warriors? Well, first off, as we're talking about attacking the paint and having bodies available, I was just mentioning Draymond Green. I said he's not as good as he was through his prime run, and I just want to make sure people know, like, that's not disrespect. Like, there's, like, every player, the greatest of all time, they have their prime, and then once they're kind of out of that prime, they could still be great. It's just that window, that flash was phenomenal. And in Draymond's prime, that prime run with Golden State where they were winning those championships, he was, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the game. Absolutely phenomenal. He is still really, really good on that side. He changes the game. Now, he's missed some games here and there with injuries, but he will be a go tonight on the Warriors injury report. Only name listed is Al Horford. He's dealing with a back injury, and so you don't have him, but you're still going to have a good complement of players, and the Blazers are going to have to attack that. Now, I talked about this Warrior team being a little bit different than you're used to, and that is absolutely for sure. Usually you'd go back in the day and you would look at the Warrior team and, okay, they're a great three-point shooting team, and they shoot 36% on the season right now, which is 14th in the league. Number one shooting team from beyond the arc is the Milwaukee Bucks at 41%. But the Warriors do come into this game similar to the Blazers in the fact that they are the number 2 team in the NBA in three-point attempts at 43.8 per game. The only team that shoots it more is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Portland coming in at 4th in the league at 42. So this game is going to have a lot of three-point shots, and the Warriors are number 1 in the league in three-point makes. So we did talk about the three-point percentage being in the middle of the league, but they are at the top when it comes to makes. They take a lot, they make a lot. It's kind of the law of averages. Like, if I take 100, I'm eventually going to make some, right? So they do that, and of course Steph Curry helps because he's averaging about a quarter of those takes and makes every single game. He's absolutely phenomenal. Point being, for the Blazers, Toumani Camara, Deni Avdija, definitely going to need to be locked in defensively around that three-point arc. How does this impact the return of Donovan Clingan as well? Because you got Donovan Clingan coming back from an injury, Robert Williams coming back from being sick, and those are guys that, again, will lock down the paint, but can be left on an island if you need to put them around the outside of the arc. So you also need to make sure all those Jeremy Grant is kind of doing the exact same thing, playing very good defensively outside the arc. You're going to need Chris Murray, Sidi Sissoko, those guys to be locked in on that side. Otherwise, it could get out of hand if they start getting hot from beyond the arc. That's going to have to be a focus defensively. On the other side of the ball, we all know that Al Horford, even though he's the elder statesman of the NBA, he's still a good defensive center, and he's not in this game, so you're going to have to find ways to take advantage of that. Can you attack the rim a little bit more? We've seen Shaedon Sharpe doing that. You heard from Deni Avdija a little bit earlier saying he wants to get better at that. Like, I can still see myself getting better at attacking the rim and forcing my way to the free throw line. Well, tonight is a good night for that. Find ways to attack the rim, get to the free throw line, get Shaedon Sharpe those easy shots, get Deni Avdija those ones from the charity stripe, get the Warriors in foul trouble. And then, last but not least, I think you're also going to want to – I know this sounds dumb, but I want to find the way to be smart with how you push tempo if you're this Blazer team. You understand that, especially with Steph Curry and the way the Warriors can play, a lot of fast pace, up and down basketball. Understand that might be part of the reason you're getting these injuries, because the playing and guarding guys, 90 feet all the way down the court and playing with tempo sometimes may not be sustainable for an entire game or especially an entire season. So find ways to just make sure you're smart with how you push yourself so that you don't put yourself in compromised positions on the other side of the floor. We've seen before where it's a push to the rim. Next thing you know, it's there we go. We didn't even get back on defense because we were so out of position. So you got to pay attention to that too. Be smart. Don't put yourself in positions to be out of position. Just be ready to go. As Tall Tim says in the chat, is it a good idea to limit the number of threes the team is taking? I know they say if you're open, shoot it, but that implies we have guys that can knock them down. And I am assuming you're talking about the Blazers limiting the shots they're taking. And Tim, it's a good question and good comment. It's something I've been kind of talking about throughout this season. The Blazers take a lot of three-pointers. They do not make a lot of three-pointers. They don't have shooters. They don't have shooters. Throwing the ball at the rim does not mean you're a shooter. The Blazers, number 4 in the league in attempts at 42 per game. Only 6 teams taking 40 or more. Those 6 being Charlotte, Brooklyn, Portland, Boston, Golden State, and Cleveland. But the Blazers coming in at 13th in the league in makes at 13.8. So, middle of the road there. Now, Shaden Sharp can make them. Tumani can make them. Denny can make them. Jeremy can make them. But of those guys, which one of those guys are you considering a shooter? Quite honestly, the only one in that group I think is a shooter is Jeremy Grant. Shaden Sharp has shown flashes, but I need him to play consistently and play more. That's what I need from him. Be aggressive and start making those shots, that's fine with me. But just because you shoot the ball doesn't mean you're a good shooter. Caleb Love is one. He loves to shoot the ball. But the shooting numbers, he's not a great shooter. I think, Tim, to your point, if the three-point shot ain't falling, find ways to get to the rim. And that's where Denny and Shea absolutely excel. And that can totally set you up for success as well. All right, music's on, means it's time to go. But coming up next, you got to stay locked in because Chad Doing will have the Trailblazers pregame show across the Trailblazers audio network. And then tip off at 6 p.m. with your radio voice of the Trailblazers, Travis Demers, on the call. And when it's all said and done, keep it locked in to Rip City Radio for the 5th quarter, where hopefully we're breaking down a Trailblazers victory. Rip City, I'll talk to you after the game.